Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. Today I didn't get a new camera, but I got a new monitor because I'm getting a new computer this week. So I'm testing out the monitor, making sure the camera works well for what we're doing. It's a big monitor, so I feel like I'm looking up like really far. So I apologize if my line of sight isn't quite right. It will be better in the future as I practice with this. I'm filming like 5 videos today, so hopefully by the end of the week it'll feel more natural. But today we're continuing our DCEU work. Last week I believe it was Shazam, which was the best one so far. And I honestly didn't have very high hopes for this movie, just in terms of it being a DC movie, and I generally don't enjoy most regular DC movies. I don't consider Shazam to be the perfect example of what a DC movie is represented by, mainly because the rest of them are just not good. But today, we are going to be talking about Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn, which is the longest title that I've ever seen, and hopefully it fits in my title description. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn was released in 2020, which is really recently, and it was written by Christina Hodson and directed by Cathy Yan. So my first thoughts going into this movie. So before I do that, I do want to mention that all of my reviews from here on forward are going to be non-spoilery, because I did have a comment mentioning that they wanted them to be non-spoilery, and I respect that. I understand that some of them did have some minor spoilers, so I'm going to try my very best from now on to have every video be non-spoilery, starting with this one. Starting with this one. So theoretically speaking, it'll be good. If you guys do want spoiler reviews, consider subscribing and consider commenting down below and being like, hey, I would like a spoiler-filled one, and I'd be like, okay, and then I'll just film it that day. Whenever I see the comment, I'll just go ahead and hop on and I'll film a really quick one for you guys. All right, awesome. So my first thought going into this film was, I wasn't excited because, for one, I know there's a lot of new characters in this, and the DC universe is not very good at introducing new characters. As we've seen from, like, the Justice League, for example, we get started on, Cyborg or whatever, and The Flash, and Aquaman, and all these things that we see without having a solo film, and DC is not good at doing that. That is not something that DC should be doing. That is way more of a Marvel specialty. They're very better at just introducing characters in general. DC has strong characters, they just don't use them very well. And I think that I was correct in saying that they aren't going to handle this very well. The movie itself is a fun ride, but the issue that I had was the characters. For those of you guys who don't know, here's a brief synopsis. Essentially, we follow Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and Harley Quinn is essentially trying to get herself rid of Joker because she broke up with Joker. The reason I think she broke up with Joker in general was because the producers didn't like the Joker, the Jared Leto Joker, and they're like, how do we get him to not be in this film? And they're like, let's just say they broke up, and then they're like, nice. So they got rid of him, and we follow her, and essentially what happens is there's this really expensive diamond, and basically the diamond can unlock this big case, I guess, in a bank that has a lot of other riches in it. So people, including Harley Quinn and a lot of other people, are looking for this diamond, but this girl has swallowed it. So, Harley Quinn gets to the girl, and they basically become friends as they wait it out and wait for the diamond to come out. But of course, then other people are like, she has a diamond, and they go to kill her and all that stuff. Again, no spoilers. That's just the general synopsis of what you're supposed to know going into the film. But I think that in general, the movie isn't very well put together. It feels very back and forth, mainly because there are parts in the film where we do actually go back and forth, like literally in time, where, Harley Quinn will be like, let's pause here for a second and let me give you a little bit of backstory, which works in some movies and in some ways. You have to be very careful doing that because you don't want to lose your audience. And I didn't feel lost watching this movie. I didn't. I wasn't lost. I was more just annoyed by it because we had this really cool fight scene set up, and then she's like, oh wait, you don't have all the information needed to actually do all this, so let me just go back. And then we had like a 20-minute flashback, essentially, that felt really dumb. We could have just proceeded from where we started and moved on from there. We didn't need to see the future and then go back to the past. I think that definitely did not work for the advantage of the director here. That was not very good. But that being said, the fight scene that followed was fantastic. One thing that I think that this film does very, very well is fight scenes. They have some excellent fight scenes in this movie. There's this one fight scene, you've seen it in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, from the carnival, that is so cool. You see parts of it in the trailer, but like watching the whole fight scene is really cool. That's one thing that I might watch over and over again. I might go online and watch a quick little movie clip, but then kicking butt in the carnival area. I think that was a really, really cool idea. It worked really well for them. And there's this one scene in a jail that they have this fight scene happen with Harley Quinn, and it's really fun. The way that Harley Quinn fights in this movie is top notch. It's way better than Suicide Squad, which is good because Suicide Squad was a good movie, but they didn't have the best action sequences. This isn't a bad movie, but it has really, really good fight sequences, particularly with Harley Quinn. The other characters, not so much. We do meet a lot of characters. I'll explain some of them in the future here in this video. None of which I think we needed. This could have just been a Harley Quinn movie and I'd have been really happy with it. Now that we have a Birds of Prey group established, hopefully we won't have to have Harley Quinn in it, right? I hope we get another Harley Quinn movie, but I hope we focus way more on just Harley Quinn and maybe that girl that she was with, because I actually really like her too, Cassandra Kane. And maybe we can have another Birds of Prey movie that's just about the Birds of Prey and not about Harley Quinn, because while this movie is technically about Harley Quinn, it sets up the Birds of Prey, which doesn't really have Harley Quinn in it. And she even says it at the end of the movie. She's like, they created their own thing, which isn't a spoiler because, that happens in the trailer and stuff. We know that she's not part of the Birds of Prey. And it just felt really dumb that we did all that setup for what isn't Harley Quinn's story. And I think that I'm way more interested in Harley Quinn's story than anybody else in this film. That is 100% for sure. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the acting, because there's some really good acting and some really mediocre acting in here. First, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I love Margot Robbie. I think she's wonderful. I think she's great in this movie. She was great in Suicide Squad. I think that her, in terms of Margot Robbie's acting and her character as Harley Quinn, has gone up in quality from Suicide Squad. We had Suicide Squad where it felt, okay, it's Harley Quinn sort of. And here she really was able to adapt it into a real character. Her accent was way more on par than it was in Suicide Squad. It didn't go back and forth as much as it did in this one, and I think it was a really, really solid attempt at a really, really good character, and I'm excited to see more from Margot Robbie, as well as more Harley Quinn in general. I know that I'm pretty confident she's in The Suicide Squad, which comes out later this year, and hopefully they don't backtrack on her character there, although I don't think Margot Robbie would allow that to happen. I think she would quit first. But really, really solid performance from Margot Robbie here, and I think it's a very good choice for Harley Quinn. Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya. So she is a cop, and you meet her in the beginning of the film. She doesn't really have any special powers except being a cop, and then she kind of befriends Harley Quinn in a weird way. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's not the greatest thing. Her character is very underdeveloped, even though she has a reasonable amount of screen time. The way that they gave her screen time didn't feel very good. They basically were like, oh, where do we go in the plot? They're like, let's just show a scene from the cop's perspective, and then we'll go back and we'll figure out where we're going from here. It felt very lazy and very not good. The acting itself was hard to judge because the character was so bad, but I think she probably did a fine job, but the character was so lazy and boring, I really did not enjoy it. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as the Huntress. So the Huntress is looking for the diamond because essentially the people that have the diamond killed her family. That's like the Huntress's background. And, well, I think it's a cool background. They didn't explore it enough, and she's a very silly character for being what I think could be a really serious character. The Huntress could have her own movie before we did this, and it'd be really dark and a really good DC film. We need more dark DC films that are good, right? Like the Batman trilogy. That was the Nolan trilogy, I believe. Really solid, really dark themes. And this was just not her movie. This is not a movie that I expected Huntress to be in. She's way too dark. She could be very dark, and instead is lighthearted and fun, even though what she's doing is avenging her dead family. So I didn't particularly enjoy the character. The performance also kind of felt lazy because I'm willing to bet the actress here. I'm willing to bet Winstead was looking for something a little bit deeper than what she got, which was a very, very, shallow character in terms of depth. Journey Smollett as Black Canary. Black Canary is really cool in this film. I actually really like her a lot. She is in charge, essentially, well, she's not in charge, but she sings at this club that is run by Roman Cyanus, who's the bad guy. And she sings at the club, and then she becomes Cyanus's kind of pet, basically, even though she's more friends with Harley Quinn. But she has a superpower. Obviously, it's a canary, so she can sing, and her singing, it's basically like, what is his name? Black Bolt? I feel like it's Black Bolt, but now I think it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound right. It's from the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Humans, where he can speak, and whenever he speaks, it's like, and it kills people. But hers is more like she can control it or whatever. I don't like how we never really learn why she has that power or how it works or anything like that, and she uses it one singular time in the entire movie. So that was kind of dumb. It's like you were holding that out on us the whole time. You're like, she can do that, and you just decided not to show it? Why? And it just felt really dumb. But the character's really cool, and I hope we have a Black Canary movie by itself, because I'd love to explore her powers and her character in general more. Do I think we'll get one? No, I don't think we're going to get one. Would I like one? Sure. I'd take a Black Canary movie. Ewan McGregor as Roman Cyanus. He's a pretty interesting bad guy. Well, you guys know my thoughts on bad guys. I think they need to have a lot of depth, and this one didn't have a whole lot of depth. But for not having a whole lot of depth, at least he had a motive, right? Because he wanted to be rich. He wanted that diamond. And so I think it was at least it was an okay excuse to be evil. The ending's fight scene, I'm not going to mention anything that happens, but I think it was dumb. And I don't really like the character a whole lot. Do I hate the character? No. Would I like to see him again? No. He's just not the kind of character that we deserve, really, at this point. We deserve better villains. DC has some phenomenal villains. I think where Marvel lacks is villains, and where DC lacks is heroes. And we have some really cool villains here that, we don't get. And Harley Quinn's also a villain. Let's not forget that it's villain against villain here, and obviously Harley Quinn's better in terms of being a villain, but she's being the hero here, and I get where we're going with this, but it didn't feel very good, particularly because Ewan McGregor, as great as I think he is, this wasn't the part for him, right? I'm watching this and I'm thinking Sam Rockwell would have killed it here. This is his realm of being silly and goosey, but also being really focused on doing something. And I felt like we really wasted what could have been a really fantastic part here on Ewan McGregor. And as much as I think he did a fine job, it was not a very compelling character, and it needed more depth. And I hope we don't see him again in the future. Ella J. Basco as Cassandra Kane. So she's the kid that swallows the diamond because she is a professional stealer. This is a very fun character. I love Cassandra Kane. Probably my favorite character in the entire movie, actually. She's fun. She's kind of under the wing of Harley Quinn, and she's basically learning to be a super vigilante, I guess. And it's a lot of fun. It's an aspect of the movie that I wasn't particularly looking forward to because I didn't think that Harley Quinn and a kid would go very well together. They do. They very much do. It is so fun. She does a wonderful job. I think maybe even the best performance of the movie, besides probably Margot Robbie as Quinn there. I think that in general it's a really fun character, and I'd love to see more of it. I'm assuming we will. I'd love to have a buddy cop movie with Harley Quinn and Cassandra Kane here. I think it's likely we get one too. This almost felt like a buddy cop film, and that was the good part where we got Harley Quinn kind of basically taking Cassandra under her wing and being listen, this is how you steal things correctly, and it's so fun. It's a fun thing that I didn't expect to have fun doing, and I really hope we get to see more of that character because she's really funny. I think it's going to do it for me talking about this movie. I didn't have a bad time watching it. It wasn't very good, but it wasn't very bad. It wasn't up to Shazam's level of amazingness. And it also, it wasn't quite as good as some of the other movies that I've seen in the DC, Suicide Squad. That's the only one that I think would beat it besides Shazam. In terms of it being a DC movie, I think it's a pretty good DC movie. especially when you compare it to like Justice League and all of that. When this film comes out, when this review comes out, I believe, yes, the Snyder Cut will be out, so I can't judge that, but because I haven't seen it yet, because I'm filming this beforehand. I'm hoping it's better, but it probably won't be. But I'm going to go ahead and give Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn a B. I think a B is fair. It's definitely not an A-grade movie. I think a B is reasonable here for what we get out of the film, which, to be honest, isn't a whole lot. But that's going to do it for me today. I apologize if my screen is moving a lot. It's a big monitor, and I'm getting used to it. I hope I got the eye line correct. I think I did. If I stare like right at the edge of my screen, it kind of comes up, I think. But it's hard to tell. I hope that the sound is coming through okay as well. It's the same camera, same microphone. It's a little farther away, and the angle is different, so I'm like trying to get used to it. But let's see what's coming up this week. Tomorrow we have J. Edgar with Leonardo DiCaprio. Wednesday is Runaways, Season 1. Thursday is Last Flag Flying with Steve Carell. And then Total Recall, the reboot, on Friday, as well as it looks like The Vault comes out on Friday. Hopefully I'll be able to watch that because that looks really good. So I'm hoping to be able to watch that one, but we'll see. And then Saturday looks like we have Alien, and on Sunday I'm watching a movie for Film Club, so there should be a review there as well. But that's going to wrap it up for the week. Just so you guys are aware, I will be finishing my Leonardo DiCaprio series. Oh no, that won't actually be until May. Okay. I'll be finishing the DC series soon, in the beginning of April. I'll also be finishing Steve Carell at the end of April, so make sure you guys are looking forward to that. Just a quick reminder that I am doing a Godzilla series leading up to Godzilla vs. Kong, starting on Sunday. So Sunday, also make sure you're looking forward to my Godzilla review. I'll be doing Godzilla, Kong, Skull Island, Godzilla's King of the Monsters, leading up to Godzilla vs. Kong. So make sure you guys are looking forward to that. I know I am. I haven't actually seen any of them, so I'm really excited to watch them. So make sure you guys are looking forward to that. We will actually be pushing back the DC by a week, so I'm not going to be watching Wonder Woman 1984 until Monday, April 5th. But then that will be the end of the DC universe, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the series so far, because I haven't seen any of these films, so it's been really fun and entertaining to try to watch them. And I'm having a good time doing it, so thank you guys so much for recommending it to me and enjoying my content. I appreciate it so much. Please consider subscribing. Whenever I hit 100, which might be before this video comes out because we're really close, we're like 5 away, I'm going to upload my review for The Room. And once I get to 150, I'm going to wear my Spider-Man mask, which you can see right there, as well as my Spider-Man onesie, which you can see over here, and some slippers, which are actually right below the onesie, to Walmart. And I'm going to buy a Batman thing, so that'd be really fun. And I'm going to film it and put it on the YouTube channel for you guys. So make sure you guys consider subscribing. It'd be a huge, huge help. And as always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.